I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships,
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed. Why, hello. Welcome back to the Covenant Chronicles.
You can't steal my intro.
I just did.
No, that's not how this works.
I just stole it. What are you going to do?
I bet. Wait till we get off this podcast.
I'm not scared. Don't give me that look. This would be one of those times, like recording it so people can see things would be funny. Don't turn your hat back. Oh, my Lanta.
Listen here, baby girl.
Are we doing this on the podcast right now?
They gonna learn today. Anyways.
Wow. All right. Well, that's not exactly how I was expecting to start this, but there we go.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. We start off like that, and you're going to be leading most of it, which is a little backwards. So get to it, lady.
That's funny. Well, we're a little behind again this week. Sorry about that, guys. When we say life's been a little crazy lately, we mean it.
It's fun.
But we're going to talk about I am statements.
Are we?
We are.
Okay.
Because this has been a thing lately.
Mm-hmm.
We keep claiming things into our identity that we should not be claiming.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. We were talking about it, just reshaping seems to be the, I guess, hot topic, if you will. But, we talk about it at our men's groups the last couple of weeks. And I mean, that's a pretty regular topic, but the way that we've talked about it has been pretty heavy the last couple of weeks. And then, obviously, it's things that we talk about on a regular basis with people.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's been like 2 weeks now, but I had a moment in the shower where all the good thoughts come from, apparently.
I told you. See, when we first got together, you gave me crap about how long my showers are. And I've proven I can make them quick when I need to, but that is my time to be alone and think and meditate and pray and all this stuff. And
listen, sir, I hear you, but like an hour in the shower is a really long time.
I mean, people be complaining, saying they don't got time to pray or meditate or any of that stuff. I'm just saying, take an hour-long shower, and then everybody just gives you crap about a shower. But guess what? You get to do.
I suppose. Anyways, the point being, while I was in the shower a couple weeks ago, I had this moment. I had seen a couple of videos on TikTok before I got into the shower that were kind of talking about like forgiveness or like asking God for forgiveness and deliverance from things. And for some reason in the shower, it just like kind of clicked in my brain because we've had a lot going on recently. And there was just something that in that moment made sense to me that like I've been carrying titles that are not meant for me to carry. And a big one for me has been saying, like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll text you and be like, I am anxious this morning, and not realizing the weight of what I'm saying and the words that I'm actually saying, which I think happens all too often because it's just what we do. It just slips out. I am this, I am that, like you're talking to someone and you're like, I'm in a bad mood today. I am anxious. I am unhappy. I am, and then there's the opposite of like, I am happy today. I'm excited. I'm blah, 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 which is good. But it's those other ones that we don't really think about.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I had realized that I was doing it a lot. I was saying those things like, I am feeling anxious. I am feeling overwhelmed. I am stressed. I am scared. I am worried. I am blah, 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 blah. Right. And claiming things that I don't believe are true and that I don't want to be my identity, but realizing that I say it all the time without thinking about it. And then having this moment of realizing like there is a massive difference between saying, I feel something and I am something, right? Because one is naming an emotion or a feeling, and the other is claiming those things as part of your identity.
Mm.
So saying, I feel anxious is completely different than saying, I am anxious. One just described a feeling that I have, the other described my identity. And I don't want to claim that I am anxious. That's not who I am. I am not anxious.
Right.
I feel it occasionally, but that's not who I am.
Hmm.
And
So I want to, I guess, interject here for a moment with that
yep.
and get people to really start thinking about where they're doing that in their life
Hmm.
and especially their relationship. Because how often do we do this, right? Where people will, we've kind of mentioned this before, and I talked about it before, but it's, you know, sometimes we'll say things, again and again. And the purpose of it is people need to hear it. And sometimes it doesn't click right, but saying it, different, you saying it or me saying it, or we talk about it on a different day or with a different tone or slightly different words. And it like really hits people, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that we do this so often inside of our relationships, and then we get stuck on these merry-go-rounds of doing the same thing over and over in these cycles, right? And
Hmm.
then we can't figure out why we can't get out of it. And
Yeah.
but we're sitting here and we say, I am, I am, I am, I
Or
am
you
this.
are, you are, you are.
Right, right, right. And just over and over and over,
Hmm.
I'm angry, I'm upset, I am this, you are um disrespectful, you're crazy, you're what, insert whatever adjective you want,
Hmm.
right? And we do this over and over and over. And it's so crazy because when I say these things or when we talk about these things, right? People are like, well, yeah, but no, there is no buts because it's actually biblical,
Yeah.
right? It's
That's where I
over
was
and
getting.
over in the Bible.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue. I just wanted to like get people to start thinking, a little bit of like, oh yeah, wait a second, I do this in my relationship.
Yeah. Well, the part that I was going with it next was that our brains believe what we tell ourselves. So if we're claiming those identities, our brains will begin to believe it, which then produces you looking for evidence of that, right? And to cement into you that that's part of your identity,
Mm,
right? But our identity should be rooted in who God says we are. Because over and over again in the Bible, he claims himself as I am, right?
hmm.
He does it, Jesus does it. They both claim themselves as I am. They are the I am.
But how does that connect to us?
Right. So, your favorite verse, right?
I was waiting for it.
So, if our true identity is found in him, Galatians 2:20 says, "It's no longer I who lives, but he who lives in me,"
Mhm.
right? Then the labels we wrongly took on were substitutes for the I am,
Mm.
God, Jesus, who alone gets to define us. So whenever we ask for repentance for those things, you're returning to being defined by him rather than being defined by performance failure or the names that you or others give yourself, right? But that's the thing. Especially like you were talking, I a lot of this has been about individuals, and I think that's important because in order to work on your relationship, you have to work on yourself too. So I think this is important information for you to think about for yourself, but it does go deeper into relationships as well. In that, like you were talking about, we oftentimes give each other labels as well. And then it can easily turn into this e- claiming into your identity, oh, well, I am needy. You are tired. So that's who you are. You're just tired, right?
Mm.
I am needy. So I'm just needy all the time, right?
Right.
Like these titles that we give each other that we don't even think about because it's just what you say then becomes your identity. And what happens whenever you get into a spot where you are worrying about your identity?
Mhm.
What starts coming out? Oh, I'm just needy. Oh, I'm just anxious. Oh, I'm just tired all the time. Oh, I'm just overwhelmed. All of those identities that we've claimed are the things that start coming out, that we start using, if you
Mhm.
will, right? Instead of realizing that all of those things are things that you feel or they're emotions.
Yeah.
They're not who you are.
Right. And go back to like we've talked about before, right? With neuroscience and the part of your nervous system responsible for emotions is the same part responsible for memories.
Mhm.
So they're just, triggers from some sort of memory,
Right.
right? And you know, people uh, we use Galatians 2:20 a lot, and we hammer that one over and over and over, right? It's no longer I who lives, but he who lives in me, right? Or Christ who lives in me. But it's not just 2:20, right? Galatians 2:20. Colossians 1:27. God has chosen to make known among the Gentiles the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the
Right.
hope of glory. Romans 8:10. And if Christ is in you, though your body is dead because of sin, your spirit is alive because of righteousness. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the tests. Do you not realize that Christ Jesus is in you? Right? This is not Bible says that all things are established by two or more witnesses, right?
Mhm.
We have plenty more than two witnesses throughout the Bible stating this over and over and over.
Mhm.
So if you're a believer, right, it is not and I think this is where so many people struggle um with just in general um showing up to a Sunday sermon. I was telling you, I was just having a conversation with somebody today and they were talking about how they struggle. And they attend a different church than we do, but they were talking about how they struggle because they went through some stuff in their life. They had an encounter with God and was led to the church, right? And they were talking about how they struggled to just understand what is being said.
Yeah.
And it comes from this thing that I don't think is taught enough, that is not pushed, but people will over and over go, okay, well, everything on the Sunday sermon sounds great, but how does it apply to me? How do I take this? How do I make this an action and live by this? Right.
Mm.
And the reality is that over and over and over, we fail to realize, if you're a believer and you've chosen that path, the old you is dead.
Mhm.
And all of these things, like you said, right? Over and over, God says, I am.
Mhm.
That is one of the most powerful things you can use to guide your life. That simple statement, I am.
It's a powerful statement, yeah.
And so when you're declaring I am, you're declaring who he is and who it is that he says you are.
Right.
So would you say these things to Jesus? Think about it. If you're standing in your living room and you're staring, having a conversation with somebody, are you going to say these things to Jesus?
Yeah.
If you're not, then why are you going to a mirror and looking yourself in the mirror and saying them?
Right. If he was sitting next to you on a park bench,
Right.
do you think he's saying, "You are needy.
Mhm.
You are too much. You
Right.
are anxious"?
Right.
Or is he saying those things about you? No.
Right. Are you saying them about him? Better yet,
Yeah.
he who lives in you.
So what are, like, what statements should you be using? You should be using statements that are rooted in the truth of who God says you are. Some like really powerful examples that I have are things like I am confident. I am loved.
Hmm.
I am a warrior. Like, you gotta use those big things because they're true about us,
Hmm.
you know? I am fearless. I am blessed. I am empowered. I am strong. Like those are who you are.
Right.
And those aren't just feelings. Those are like I am statements, you know? Uh, So many of the things that we say I am are literally just feelings.
Hmm.
They're not statements of who you are.
Right. Well, and I think this goes a step further too, with people not understanding, right? And the simple Jesus, when he was talking to Nicodemus, I brought this up earlier when we were talking to your mom, and I was talking about how Jesus said, if you can't, how can you understand spiritual things if you can't first understand the natural things, right? And it's so true. When you examine how things operate in the natural world, it gives you a clear blueprint of how things operate in the spiritual world,
Mm.
in your faith, right? And so when you look at that and you realize that we've I brought up this before, but there's roughly 330,000 words in the English language.
Mhm.
Your brain only thinks about 3,300 of those are important.
Mhm.
That small of a percentage. So the reality is you have to choose to use words that are either important to you when the time is right, or that are not important to you when the time is wrong. And what I mean by that is when you're talking about 1% of words we actually care about, our brain actually thinks is important. Everything else is just noise, right?
Yeah.
So we can use that to our advantage. And like you were saying, well, what should you say? Well, you should be using things that are uplifting, but not just uplifting. things that your brain thinks are important,
Mhm.
right? So if you think, for example, if the word pretty doesn't mean anything to you and it doesn't invoke any sort of, if somebody's like, oh, you're so pretty, and it doesn't invoke any sort of emotion and it's just kind of, thanks, right? You shouldn't use that word.
Mhm.
Now, on the other hand, if you're like, man, if somebody says, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and that's like, "Oh," and you kind of start feeling yourself, you get some sort of like response out of that. That's the word you use, and you can identify those words in all of that stuff. And the same thing, right? When you were talking about like declaring identities over feelings, right? You're like, "Oh, I feel tired." Well, if you understand that feelings lie to you, feelings are chemical responses or electrical responses, they're not facts, then I feel can be a great way to do that, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, if you're a person that takes a feeling as a fact, then you have to examine what word is not important to you. Right? And so for like us, we use the I feel because we understand feelings lie to us,
Yeah.
right? And so whenever we say I feel, we know that okay, this probably isn't real. It's just a temporary thing.
Yeah.
But some people struggle with that. And for those people, it's important to identify what word is not important, right? Maybe experiencing.
Mhm.
Oh, well, experiencing is a temporary word. It's something that I, you know, just happens and then kind of goes away. Okay, I'm experiencing anxiety.
Mhm.
I'm experiencing sadness, right? And whatever that word is for you.
You can't even say "I'm" because that is claiming that's "I am." You gotta say "I experience,"
Yeah,
or you gotta take the "am"
yeah,
out of it completely.
yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
I mean, and
We
people
don't
know,
think about it, but
yeah. Look at that. I mean, for me, like that's not anything that's important to me. So, but I'm still, even throwing it in there unintentionally, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why it's important though for you to acknowledge these things. We talked about something that I identified this last weekend that I was struggling with, right? And with that being said, um it, it's a constant work. Like it's a constant progress that you have to continue to make of identifying these things.
Mhm.
And when you do, then you can work on them, right? And I think sometimes we're afraid of that. Well, that means there's something wrong with me. So what?
Well, take it a level deeper when you start claiming things into your identity, who's able to use that against you?
Right.
That's where the enemy does his best work.
Hmm.
You claimed it as your identity.
Yeah.
It's he didn't have to force you to do that. You already claimed it, but now he can use that against you.
Uh huh.
You said you were anxious. You claimed that into your identity, so why is he not gonna use that against you?
Hmm. I think something that ties right into this, it's super important. We had our friends over the other night, and he was an ex-Marine, and he was talking about how in boot camp, when he first went, years ago, there was this first little while that they wouldn't allow them to use first person,
Mhm.
right? They had to talk in the third person
Mhm.
because it was that, hey, no, we're killing your old identity,
Mhm.
right? And you look at like the way the military does that and the way, they reprogram you initially into what they want. And it's so crazy because people try to figure out how to fix themselves. And it's like all these places have it figured out,
Mhm.
right? And they're using these same techniques. So why don't you use this stuff for the betterment of your own life,
Mhm.
right? The betterment of your own relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the trick. If you're really struggling, go to the third person,
Yeah.
right? When you're feeling these things, you're like, oh, something like, I'm anxious, right? Oh, they are anxious, right? And it sounds super goofy,
Mhm.
but if you're portraying that as somebody else, that's not your identity. And if that's what you have to do to break that, use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Well, there's just such a vast difference between saying something is a feeling versus claiming it into your identity. But, like, even just talking about, like, the enemy being able to use those identity statements against you. Like, if you remove all the negative things and you're just using positive identity statements and, like, actually grasping it and realizing it, so that's what you're saying all the time, wh what's the enemy gonna do? Start telling you that you're beautiful all the time? Like,
Hmm.
you know? Like, he's got nothing to work with when you eliminate those things yourself. You're now claiming, like, "I am confident. I am strong."
Yeah.
What is he gonna do? "Hey, you're confident. Stop that." Like, no,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Well, and if you really think about it, like, think about where you get attacked most, right? Like, when something goes wrong in your life
Mhm.
and we allow it to just drag us through the mud and pin us down, right? Because that's a choice. And I'm not trying to say, hey, it's so easy to choose something else because it's not, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that it is.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it is a choice, and we are choosing to allow that thing to drag us, right?
Mhm.
But if you think about that, part of the reason when you break it down and you really examine it under a microscope of why or how we get to that point where we are allowing something to drag us down like that, it's always because it attacks our identity
Mhm.
in some form or another.
Right, but what is that identity?
Right. Well, and that's what I mean, think about it, right? Let's just take you lose a job, you lose a business,
Mhm.
right? Why does that affect us so hard? Well, because that job, that business, that title, that status, that was our identity.
Mhm.
Your partner, spouse, husband, wife leaves you, cheats on you, whatever the case may be, right?
Mhm.
Why does that hurt so bad? Why does that tear us up? Because our identity was one, uh, that relationship,
Mhm.
and two, our identity that we have chosen to give ourselves is we are this person or we're, whatever. We're such an incredible person or spouse or partner. And the reality is sometimes maybe you are. Also, there's probably some stuff you need to work on, right?
Mm.
Regardless of the case is you have stuff to work on or they have something that they need to fix. Either way, we allow it to the enemy to attack our identity in those situations.
Well, it's usually something to do with your ego too.
Yeah.
Whatever those things offend us and hurt us because we feel judged. We feel, um, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with some good examples, but like at the end of the day, it's because you've rooted yourself in something that like is more of an egotistical thing than like who your actual identity is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But that's exactly it, is it goes back to these, like, false identities or lies that we've told ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we build these things up, and then when that gets attacked or we feel that it gets attacked or ripped away or anything like that, then what? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we're rooting our identities in who God calls us to be and not just like frivolously throwing around I am statements all the time about everything,
Mhm.
because I don't think people really grasp the amount that they actually do it.
Mm-mm.
And there's even times like, are we perfect about doing it? No. There's so many times recently that I've caught you doing it or you've caught me doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, I'm tired. And I'm like, you're tired or you feel tired?
Yeah. Well, that I mean, and that's it, right? Is like you have to, one, you have to acknowledge it. Two, you have to try to be cognizant of it. And if you're in a relationship, right, and you're listening to this right now because you're trying to fix it, make it better, whatever the case is, or maybe you're not, maybe you're just trying to be better for the future, you know, spouse that you are gonna have. Well, regardless, getting them on board and having a partner or somebody, right? If you don't, okay, then you're buddies, right? You want to talk about your friend circle. Get all your buddies on board, all your friends on board, right?
Hmm.
Start helping each other. And if they think it's weird and they're like, "Oh, that's some da 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 da," and they can't see it, probably should spend less time with that person. You might not like hearing that,
Yeah.
but I'm not here to tell you something to make you feel good, right? The truth is if your circle of influence isn't willing to try new things to help lift all of you up, you probably need a new circle of influence,
Yeah.
right? So at the end of the day, and that's why, you know, I can't speak for you and your women's group, right? But we do at our men's group, right? We call each other out on that exact thing, right?
Yeah.
And
We do too.
when people say things and they're not being cautious of their words, or they're claiming identities that aren't true, right? Or you know, they talk about, say something that has happened in the past, something that they did in the past, and they say, well, I do this, blah 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 blah. You do that, or in the past you did that?
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, even if unless you're doing it actively right this second, it's in the past.
Yeah.
It's no longer you who lives. The old you is dead. So why are we going to keep bringing that into this new identity?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to think about. But
Yes.
I really want people to start taking the time to figure out where they're doing that
Hmm.
and stop using I am statements that are not claiming good parts of your identity
100%.
or
That's,
good parts of your partner's identity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's your mission right now. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Be cognizant of it. Identify it, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out. On that note, action steps for this week. 1, share this with 3 people that you know is using or consistently using I am statements wrong. Because I guarantee you, if you open your contacts on your phone, every single person in there is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So send it to, if you have to, the first 3 people in your phone.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you haven't already, go check out Covenant Couples on the Skool platform, SKOOL. We have built a community on the Skool platform for couples specifically. There's some incredible resources and tools in there that will help people, not only stay plugged in to this kind of stuff, but also help grow you as a person, help grow your relationship, that sort of thing. Third thing is, if you haven't already, thecovenantchronicles.com. Go take the relationship quiz. There is a, how would I put it? Just go take it. That's the best way I could put it. Go on there. It's like the big button at the top. I think it says ready to change your relationship or something along those lines. Go take it. Here, I'll tell you right now what it says. Uncles. Built this so long ago, I don't even remember what it says. Start your relational transformation today. That button. Go click that, take the quiz, see exactly where it lands, see where you land. It'll give you a opportunity at the end of that to, if you would like, schedule a free call with Amber and I. If that's something you're interested in, we're happy to do it. Sit down 30 minutes, figure out exactly where you're at, give you an action plan moving forward. If that sounds like something you need, go do it. Even if you don't, go take the quiz. It'll give you a great opportunity to see exactly where you're at, some of your strengths and weaknesses inside of your relationship.
Yep. Well, until next time.
All right, bye. Bye, guys. I don't know what that was.
That was very abrupt. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. All right, guys.
Anyways, bye.